about.
Oh, here, let me do this. Okay.
Mother.
Now we're here.
You can do it and you will immediately hate it.
Perfect.
Hello, Grem. It is an absolute pleasure to actually officially let me do the handshake through the screen, meet you. I don't think we've ever talked on audio. We texted, obviously, etc., etc. Thanks for the co-stream. I think it can be like a very cool thing for generally leftist creators to do from time to time because quite literally, why not? It's just chill hangout sessions.
Yeah, of course. I've been a big fan. Okay, I lied. At most 5 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and take it off. I've been a big fan and following your stuff for a while.
The amount of sacrifice I take for you, but no, apologies.
Yeah, no, really. Subscribe to Yugo so that his eventual breathing problems will be able to be paid for. I don't know. Do you guys have universal health care in your country?
Yes, left over from the evil socialist days.
Okay, well, never mind then. Don't subscribe to him. Okay, he's got that universal shit. We're struggling out here.
Absolutely, it's difficult when you're from this part of the world to give any sort of pitch to chat on what they need to send you money for you to use for.
Right.
So I'm doing the mortgage thing because now I got a mortgage. I'm a labor aristocracy class trader. I could have
owning a home.
Yeah, pretty
Where's
insane.
the Dexerto article on you?
Yeah, are you still a rent cuck or you got it good?
I am in a unique situation where when I was living in a broom closet with my roommate when I was like 21, and my wife now, her dad was like bequeathed some property from his wife's family whenever they died, and there was like a little shack on the corner of his property that was like destroyed hoarder's home. And the one leftover socialist policy that we have in America is the GI Bill and grants for the children of military families to go to college. And because my wife was like a good student, she got a bunch of scholarships anyway, basically full ride. And we just used those stipends that the government was sending her to go to college to remodel this home. So I don't have rent or a mortgage. We're just living in this.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I'm very lucky.
So I called you a potential rent cuck. Now you need to turn around and call me a mortgage cuck.
Yes, mortgage cuck. I mean, I don't know, like, it's very privileged, but I don't know, like, if this would fall into anything other than just got really lucky, because, like, we technically own it, but it's also not worth a lot. I'd get maybe $60,000 out of this shack. Dude,
and even if it was, you're not like, we're not lifestylists, as it's called. You shouldn't feel bad from having an affordable, chill place to live in, or even a semi-luxurious one.
Yeah, of course.
Assange Peel, etc., etc.
Yeah. Socialism, not a poverty cult, and all that.
Absolutely. So, did you drop merch? I saw something about a merch drop. That's very nice.
Yeah, we did the corporate pizza party merch line that a community member did the art for. Have you ever seen They Live, the John Carpenter movie?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a reference to it on the back.
Oh my God, sick. Please don't unionize pizza. Dude.
Yeah.
I need to cop one. Chat, everybody cop one. This is merch. Is it your first merch release or you've done it before?
We've done it before. This is the second one that I was able to make sure that it was made by a unionized garment manufacturer.
It kind of leads us into the conversation that I was having with chat right before we joined. We watched a video on how everybody's surprised that dudes that have mullets and mustaches can also be right wing, and it spiraled into the whole do you usually, chat, I don't know if you know, but you need to talk to a person to realize what they're all about, and not just be like, oh my God, I am definitely having sex with you because a particular stereotypical appearance that you have equally signals that you are actually that person. Were you surprised by just how many hot takes there are on this? Because I'm kind of like, why are there any hot takes on this?
Is this about like the stylistic decisions of conservatives now?
Yeah, the polycule looking ass motherfucker being like on the Jubilee video, and everybody being like, oh my God, there can be people that look like us that don't actually share our political views. Like, okay, big mind blow to it.
Coming from where I'm from in the U.S., conservatives have always looked like that. Like, you describe mustache and mullet, and you describe most of the people I went to high school with. That's what all the dudes who were, flying Confederate flags on the back of their pickup trucks were wearing. But fashion is cyclical, and just because someone has a certain style that matched one that would be considered liberal, like Matt Walsh looks like a barista in 2012. Like, if you just take a snapshot of Matt Walsh, if you're to like put it in Photoshop and you just blur out his eyes and anything that would indicate to you that that's Matt Walsh, he looks like the logo of every men's barber shop that will also serve you like a whiskey sour while you're waiting for your haircut. He does.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. Like, I think we kind of sometimes overthink just how much like particular aesthetics are co-opted, and very often you probably see it in chat. And we're a very particular type of profession where our kind of job is to stylize a particular aesthetic based on the types of people that we want to attract in order to give them, inspire them to class consciousness, etc., while entertaining them, blah, blah, blah. But people, grass touchers, IRL, and so on, base their aesthetic mostly on what the current trend is and, what can get them laid to an extent, right? So I do not believe, to tell me if I'm wrong, I genuinely might be wrong, but I don't think there's right-wingers, not the ones that are doing the active agitating. They're absolutely thinking about it, but just your layman, your everyday Joe that's like
hyper-focused, like, oh my god, I'm gonna do like 5D chess, now I'm gonna like make myself look like a lib, but then I'm gonna enter a liberal polycules, and I'm gonna teach them about the true way of 1488
type shit. I don't think that, because that's kind of the direction the discourse, at least on Twitter, seems to be going into, and I think it's trying to find depth in something that's not so deep, bro.
I don't think anyone wakes up, even if they're like a influencer, wakes up thinking about the way that they're going to dress unless that person is like either getting paid by an entity other than their community, like their Patreon, Twitch subscribers, whatever it is. If they are like part of a media operation, there is a style guide. But if they're actually independent, no, they're not thinking about that.
Unless it's me, and I do everything in my power to seem as unapproachable as possible and as LARPy and stupid as fuck as possible, because I do not have the courage that people like you have to actually show my full face.
I was going to ask.
I think eventually I will have to change. Yeah.
Like, is it like OPSEC? Is it just because you're protecting your identity? Or is it more just a social consciousness thing?
No, it's like 100% protecting my identity because of the where I'm at. Like right wingers don't only yap
for sure.
They react, but then I started thinking like respectfully, I'm not the smallest fucking guy on the planet, and also if I'm gonna dedicate my fully dedicate my career to this, which I pretty much started like a year ago, because I had like a day job or whatever you want to call it up until that point, I might as well get rid of this thing. Also, like, let's be honest, there is a very real blocker for growth when you're doing what you're seeing here on screen, unless it's like properly positioned as just a very kind of niche type of thing for people that don't care about a guy wearing a mask. But still, I feel like it's very limiting, and eventually I will probably have to show my ugly mug to the entire world.
I don't know. I mean, it creates a mystique. There's a mystery to it. You can kind of you can get a little theatrical with it. Someone like I've been listening to a lot of Sleep Token lately, and the main or the vocalist from Sleep Token, that's his thing. Like, no one knows who he is. He just goes by the name Vessel and has a very extravagant costume that he wears, and you can see like from his nose down, but you can't see the rest of his face, and that creates like a alluring aspect of it. You could get a little theatrical with it and have different get-ups.
True. I just gotta decide, I guess, because if I continue with this look for another like year or two, then this is gonna be the look. And if I do face reveal, etc., then I will lose the at least aesthetic recognizability, right?
Yeah.
So I either gotta do it, like cut the tree at the root, or fully dedicate myself to the bit.
Yeah.
And the second part of why the bit kind of sucks, bro, like you notice it when you put on the fucking mask. It really sucks to wear this. Like it is, I know it's like fucking first world problems. I completely get it. Your career is sitting in front of a camera and talking about things you're passionate about. I completely take the privilege pill. I agree. But like I'm sweating like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know how difficult it is to sip a fucking soda or a drink?
I was gonna say you smoke, don't you?
What? Sorry?
Do you smoke?
I was a big smoker.
Yeah.
Smoker.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, for like 7 years. Funny enough, I started in the States. For those of you in your audience that don't know about me, I'm from the Balkans. I actually quite literally became a communist. Before then, I was like a, right libertarian herder. The homeless deserve it. The reason we are poor, was self-orientalizing a lot. The reason we're poor down here in Southeastern Europe is because we're lazy and stupid and not like culturally developed enough to live like the Americans. But then I went to the States and I was like, wait, this is the free market utopia. What the fuck? I saw people working 3 jobs in order to just sustain them. I saw the very intense and very open bigotry towards people of color. I saw that how much they're actually paying you for an immense amount of labor that you need to give out. And the intro to POS, like, because I'm a poli-sci major, the intro to POS for my first year course, when Marx was mentioned, all of a sudden like the light bulb burst, and I was like, okay, this class consciousness thing kind of makes sense. So yes, ironic, and an Eastern European from a formerly socialist country needed to go to America to recognize that capitalism really wasn't it. But the reason I'm giving the context was connected to your question. I started also smoking in the States, which is insane. Like Balkan people start smoking when we're fucking 12. I don't know how it is in Louisiana. Louisiana is giving me what?
It's early.
Because Louisiana is giving me so much Balkan just vibes, like in general, when it comes to the. But okay, are you a smoker? I started late at 18, but most of my friends have been smokers since 14, 15.
I started at 14.
Wow, impressive. Yeah. And are you still puffing that F slur, as the British would say?
No, I was doing good for like 6 months, quitting the vapes. I've been off cigarettes for, I'm 32, about to be 33, so probably like 5, 6 years I was off cigarettes and on the vapes. I started 6 months before October of 2023, and I was off it. I was on nicotine gum, and October 7th got me back on vaping because the coverage was so relentless. Yeah, like Hamas got me back on the vapes. It sucks. I'll get off of it again eventually, but the stress, like I got a Zyn packed right now, but I also do the vape just because like it's not enough. I need more nicotine. The oral and hand fixation. I gotta like do something with my hands. Like I'm playing with cards right now. It's interesting that you mentioned that your experience in America is what like radicalized you, because I have a lot of friends in Europe that got super capitalism pilled by coming to America because of big truck, big building, big everything, Big Mac. And it's frustrating because I think a lot of Americans shit on other countries in like universal healthcare because they haven't been to those countries, and I think would be more radicalized towards social spending if they had the opportunity to travel.
Absolutely. And I thought a lot about this because I also talked to a lot of people that especially go from relatively impoverished, what people would call second world or third world countries, and they go to the United States and they literally start like hardcore, like even borderline violent, start using borderline violent language when it comes to poor people in the States, because they're like, dude, I came from fucking nothing, I built something. Oh, I started a trucking company, or, I worked in a restaurant for like 10 fucking years and now I opened my own one, etc., etc., etc. But the meme there is that you came from a country that gave you higher, better education, better understanding on how to basically take care of yourself, even in the context of an American capitalist state. It ironically gave you a lot of the tools that domestic Americans do not have, because fucking absolutely everything is private and it's literally pay to win when it comes to education and when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to basically any infrastructure. So you came there quite literally like higher level, literally you were leveled up more for your particular age than the locals, except obviously for the very, very privileged locals, of course. And that's why you managed to an extent outcompete them. So it's at least that's my hot take to an extent. They come and they grind really hard, and sure, on average they outperform the local, but the reason they have the ability to grind so fucking hard is because they've gotten those skilled from socialized education,
right,
and infrastructure back in their home country, especially people from like doesn't matter what you think about those past socialist experiments, but not you, I mean anybody in the audience, and I'm always very open to that. But especially people from that part of the world, where quite literally you're getting some of the most premier fucking education literally for free. Motherfucker gets 4 years of university for $1,000 fucking dollars, then goes to the States, and obviously he's going to be outperforming everybody that does not have a degree or does not have that skill set that you've acquired for free back home that he cannot acquire in the United States. And that's the kind of dissonance I think that happens and makes him think that they're all just lazy. That's why you're homeless, etc., etc.
Yeah, I don't get it, especially being from my part of the country. How much do you know? I mean, you cover American politics a lot, obviously, because like America is the political epicenter of, you know, global capital.
Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah, we run this shit kind of, not for long the way we're going, but like, how much do you know about like the different regions of America?
It's super fascinating to me, I have to say, and I think it is to most non-Americans. It's like collecting rare Pokemon, and they're all Pokemon, right? Now it's gonna sound borderline fucking like an ethno-fascist or something, but like Americans and like the rest, like you have people and then you have Americans, and I'm giving this as somehow a relative compliment to our beautiful American brothers, sisters, and MBs. But it's just such a, like, objectively it is such a different place in some categories, right? And then there's differences between the states, and it's very and different cultures that have developed inside of those states because it's such a big country, obviously. So why the parallel with collecting Pokemon? Because quite literally, whenever you meet someone that's from a part of the country that you've never met before, you meet like, oh, what am I? New Jersey, oh, Gabagool, oh, you immediately obviously throw all the stereotypes in your Louisiana one. I think like soul food. I think really good music. I think ridiculously beautiful, but also I don't know if you can use the word original, but still original nature, like very. Not something that you can see all over the world, etc., etc. Now I learned that you're Balkan pilled as well with very young smoking age. But come on, teach me more about. Give me the top 5 things that you think everybody should know about the good old state of Louisiana.
Oh God, I mean, okay, so I'll give you a couple things, but I think the best way to understand its connection to Balkanism is. You would have to give me what are 3 like key indicators of Balkan culture. Like we talked about smoking early. Okay, that's very normal. Okay, give me like 2 more.
Smoking, drinking, and being extremely direct when it comes to your opinion about another person.
Okay, so that's where we diverge.
You're very charismatic, and I think you're doing great work and that type of shit, right? But also, it would apply if I thought you were a piece of shit. I would tell you you're a piece of shit, right? Like, for example, I'm going to offend you now. You're American, right? So that, for example, is what I'm fucking.
So we diverge on one of those, right? The being very direct with how you feel about a person. Because we have what is commonly known as Southern hospitality. But the thing about Southern hospitality is it's deceptive. Someone will be like super sweet to you, but it's only to gather information to talk shit about you. We love gossiping.
I might have rushed the gun on how direct we are because there is a very specific, let's call it subculture of just babushkas, like older ladies that maximize min-max signaling that they are, oh, we're very kind, very loving, they're all the time in front of the big commie block, and they're like, oh, hi, how you doing, etc., etc. But the second you pass by, they're immediately like, fucking whore.
Yes,
fucking,
that's it. Okay, that's it.
So that it still can be parallel. Yeah.
Do the babushkas play cards with each other? Do they gather and drink coffee or tea and play cards?
Absolutely, or eat semichki and stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. They play Bure is the card game that we have here. It's kind of like Rummy if you have that. The grandmas get together and do that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so we got 3 out of 3.
Perfect.
To an extent. Third halfway through.
Yeah. As far as things like people should be aware of in Louisiana, I mean, I made a video about Angola, which is the largest maximum security prison in Louisiana. You can go check it on my YouTube channel, Chad, if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, it's Cinemarxism and I went out there. He flew down and helped me film it, and it was the first time I had been to the prison. It's out in the middle of fucking nowhere, just like the prison that Mahmoud Khalil.
They let you go in and check it out, or?
No, they didn't let us go in there. I tried my best to worm my way in for an interview with the warden, but they have a museum in the parking lot in front of the prison called the Louisiana Cultural and Prison Museum. And it is just I guess you can call it a trophy room. It has the electric chair. It has like uniforms of prisoners. It has bullets that they've like pulled out of the bodies of prisoners. They have like recreations of a air tank that's a prisoner like cut off the bottom of and tried to like climb into to escape from. They like recreated that.
It's a still existing prison. I'm getting it right. That is a still existing borderline concentration camp, and then they have a museum about the horrors of the borderline concentration camp next to the still existing concentration camp that is also managing the museum. Wow, what the fuck?
I wouldn't call it a concentration camp. I would call it a plantation, because it was 4 separate plantations, and in I think it was 1891, there's this guy who like bought up the 4 plantations and then combined them into one to do convict leasing, where prisons would sell the labor of their prisoners over to larger ones, so that they could keep space open for a rotating cast of, or not cast, but a rotating inventory of people. And that was what it was. It's still a plantation today. There's like a trustee program, where there are like tiers of labor throughout the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like one facility in the whole prison where convicts are held that has air conditioning, and it's in the highest tier of trustee, where they raise the dogs. So they do like farming, they do cattle raising, they raise horses, and they raise dogs. And where the dogs are raised, it's like 10 guys who are at the highest tier of trustee, and they get to live in their own like little house together on the edge of the property where they raise the dogs. And that is the only place that has AC, where the dogs are.
What the fuck? Oh my God.
There's a rodeo.
There's a rodeo?
Yes, there's a prisoner rodeo. The grand prize is $100 to the top cowboy.
Oh my fucking God. but, I mean, I might be stereotyping, but it's literally giving, just a slave camp where you have different tiers of the slaves depending on how well-mannered they are, or if they can read, or if they can train a dog and take care of it, etc., etc. And you give them better privileges depending on...
The house slaves. Yeah.
The house slave, right, etc., etc. And is it, like the labor that's utilized there, is it used, because from what I know, correct me if I'm wrong, please, there are private companies that do this in the States, but there's also like a government branch that also pretty much does slave labor.
Yeah. There are private companies like Walmart, Aldi's, Kroger, Cargill, Cisco food products, a lot of local companies where the agriculture and animal raising is going to be profiting off of it because they sell them to ranchers and different, like for the horses, equestrian companies, and the dogs end up being the dogs at the prison or to other canine units across the country. And yeah, I mean, it's.
Do they talk to the let's call it a prison. Do they talk to the prison directly, or is the prison owned by another entity, and then they pretty much do the business management section of it and decide who we're gonna outsource our labor to, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, like
Basically,
every American prison does it.
Very independent. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it very independent, or is it also like subservient to either a private entity or like a U.S. State entity?
Bit of column A, bit of column B. It's a state prison, so any private company contracts are negotiated through the state, so that they can decide like who's going to get this one. It's usually lowest bidder contracts that get them, or just the largest companies that are like, hey, we want in on this, and we can make a lot of money off of it. So yeah, it'll be like for a private prison, they obviously have like their discretion, but the state is the one that decides it for Angola.
Very interesting. What do you think, like, kind of more of a ideology discussion, I guess? There's a big, I mean, now we're seeing it with the Tesla burning, et cetera, most, acts of rebellion in
Oh, you mean the Tesla domestic terrorists?
Domestic terrorism, brother. They're gonna burn my big Fiat car. Holy shit, brother.
Is this your hog accent?
Yeah, brother. Yes, I love my pickup truck, and I love fucking my cousins. Yes, brother.
Oh my god. Okay, that's great. I love that.
Is it okay-ish? I don't know.
No, it's right there. It's right there where like it's I could see that this is coming from a non-American, but it's like you respect the culture enough to try.
Thank you, my friend. Absolutely. I don't like it because when I do it, I sound like the type of American that, of course, as long as they're not reactionary and shit, that I would love to fucking hang out with, that I would love to be, like a wholesome, big, burly man that, is just gonna like give me a big hug and be like, don't worry, brother, we're gonna take care of it, brother, like that. It's so good, but unfortunately, it's caught up with all the rest of the shit.
You just gotta pick up the one catchphrase of hogs: raise hell, praise Dale. Raise hail, praise Dale.
Praise hail, brother. You
fit in.
We're offending your culture. I apologize.
No, I'm not offended.
You're very kind. But yeah, in the context of the recent, Tesla burnings, etc., blah, 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 very nerdy conversation about how, the United States is such a consumer-focused culture. So even acts of rebellion are usually directed against commodities as a way to express particular opinions on particular topics, etc., blah, blah, blah. Most of your audience and mine, I think, know how, how ideology works when it comes to these sorts of things. But what's interesting and related to the, for example, prison labor thing. So in a country where the way you consume is basically who you are, the way you consume is your politics, how the fuck is prison labor, which, the evil wokes should at this point have targeted so fucking intensely as like, don't consume this product because it uses prison labor. How is it still a thing is basically what I'm asking. Like, how has there not been a general consumer-minded revolt against, I can't even believe I'm saying it, but like labor camps, right? Like fucking prison camp labor. It's insane. That it's not become that it's not mainstream to just immediately be like, oh, for example, I think you mentioned Cargill, right? Cargill uses prison labor, never consume a single product made by them. How is that not a thing? Like, genuinely surprising to me as an outsider.
I think as far as like the, why are you consuming the products? A lot of it has to do with you don't have any other option. Rural areas of the country, you're very limited on your consumption choices. But you did nail it with the identity part of it. That we grew up in the state where our parents and grandparents would say like, if you're bad and you don't study in school, you'll end up in Angola, and there's like a constant warning, that like, hey, you'll be cast out of society if you're not like part of it, if you're not following the rules. But on the consumption identity side too, a lot of this American identity politics has to do with, like you said, commodity consumption. And for an example, if you were to like move your beer consumption from like Bud Light to you're drinking, I don't know, some European brand like Yingling or something, then those in your social circles would like look at you as, if you're from like ones that I grew up in, well, now you're like a fruity boy. Oh, what are you, too good for us? That's very heavily associated with like your entire identity. But when it comes to prison labor, once you have that identifier put on you, that's it. You are that. And no one ever thinks that there's like circumstances that led you to it. We're not taught about like material conditions or like a materialist analysis of like, okay, well, like people are a product of their conditions, and you know, some of those conditions are forced upon them outside of like choices that they make. No one's taught these things. These things are discouraged. And once you have criminal, you know, homeless, terrorist, you know, vagrant on you, that's it. That's all you'll ever be. No one thinks about what is, you know, like how you ended up there, what your choices are, if it's valid that you were even a criminal or had that put on you. No one considers these things. They're just part of it.
Yeah, but it's still very interesting that like it hasn't, you know, grown to be at the forefront of like completely and utterly, quote unquote, canceling particular companies that are participating in prison labor, because prison labor is such a big and massively like fucked up thing for you to utilize. And you know, if we're talking about, you know, fucking conservatives, the fucking classic Bud Light, for example, being a great example of, oh, we're gonna protest so hard, or now Tesla being an example of, you know, more progressive people of different varieties of radicalism, let's use that term. Also, like, you know, protesting against the commodity as a greater allegory for what they're genuinely against, which is, when it comes to Tesla, is really funny because it's kind of working. It's literally destroying this guy's fucking company. It's absolute fucking hard. But it's unhinged to me that the same level of, I guess, consumer style protesting is not happening against products that utilize prison labor. It's just crazy that it hasn't happened, that it's kind of like, you're utilizing prison labor, obviously will make a lot of people not consume, but it's not consume your particular product, but it's not like a mainstream, at least I feel like it's not a mainstream thing of, hey, these guys for, you know, frack, or these guys have had oil spills, that's why you should not interact with them, or these guys have like 700 sexual assault lawsuits happening in the, you know, management branch of their company, so you should never consume it, etc., etc. That is pretty common. But when it comes to prison labor, it's just not. It's not. What I'm saying is, it's not in the limelight as much as it should be, and I just find it interesting.
Well, I think it's partly because like Angola in particular, it's like out in the middle of nowhere. You got to drive on this like middle of nowhere 1-lane road for like 45 minutes just to get to the front of the prison once you're off the highway. It's out of the way. You don't think about it. And the only time you see incarcerated people is when they're picking up trash on the side of the road, and they're not from Angola. So you think, okay, well, they're just doing community service. Meanwhile, most of those dudes who are picking up trash on the side of the road, they've been in jail or in prison, like jail because they can't pay bail. They just can't afford to get out, or in prison for ridiculous things. No one ever thinks about like, okay, well, this person, you know, missed a jury duty appointment, and then they got a warrant and they couldn't pay the bail, so now they're just stuck there, whatever it is. No one considers it. They just think like they're so normal. Kind of like all the other companies that do fucked up shit, Coca-Cola, Nestle. Coca-Cola and Nestle, the general public is aware that they're bad. They don't maybe know why they're bad, but they understand it. Something like Tesla, I think the only reason that people are really going hard against Tesla, like facilities and companies, is because Elon Musk and the kind of new age oligarchs in the tech sector, they broke the rule of old money, which is you don't go into the public and say these things out loud. You break the rule of secrecy, of letting these things become just part of the day-to-day existence. There was a great interview on Majority Report where the person they were interviewing, I can't remember their name, was talking about how all these guys have their own podcasts. They've been talking very openly about like techno-feudalism and how they want to own and operate city-states very openly. They want to buy countries. And because they're kind of sequestered into their own little echo chambers, that's not really a discussion that most people are aware of. But now that Elon is kind of just like out in the open, wants to like buy company towns or build company towns, and he's doing Sieg Heils and shit in front of everybody, that's impunity is what that is. Like, he's so untouchable that he could just do it, and he's just demonstrating you don't have control, which is kind of like, it's kind of like what that warning that I was talking about, like be good or you'll end up in Angola. Kind of that id of any oppressive structure. Eventually, it reminds you have no control. And that's what it is. Like, people are recognizing, okay, here is the richest person on earth who is acting in impunity, fucking everything up, and that outpouring of dissent, particularly for that person, is only frustrating for, people like us, because it's just against one entity. There's so many that participate in this, and the core of the problem is like the state that's allowing it to happen or participating in it, because old structures loved that we would blame corporations, or blame the government for these problems. Corporations, they're the ones that are pulling the levers because they buy our government. And when we're saying like, oh man, I hate that my road has potholes in it, I fucking hate the government for not fixing that. Well, guess who loves that? The companies that are making money off of, privatizing all of your infrastructure, privatizing every aspect and commodifying your entire existence. They love that you blame the government. They love that you blame the state instead of directing your ire at that public-private partnership.
Exactly, and they don't want us to see that partnership is continuous and has existed forever. But once you stop simply, hyper-focusing on financing, lobbying, etc., government, but you take the next step and you want to be in government, then that's sort of like, I couldn't agree more, that sort of kind of fog of war starts disappearing, and people start connecting, kind of realizing, it's, as you said, it's a bit irritating for, let's use a broad term, like for class conscious people to be like, are you really like realizing it now? Like, how fucking long did we need to wait for you to get to how absurdly out in the open did it need to be for you to kind of go like, holy shit, oligarchs are a thing, billionaires interacting with the state, holy shit. Which, don't even get me started with the whole fucking the Democrat, the switch of herder, there's bad billionaires and good billionaires, which I could go on for fucking 5 hours, which was the original meme with an oligarch, right? It's just the bad type of billionaire. But yeah, they're Elon is a perfect representation of somebody who's just being exceptionally impractical when it comes to the continuation of the neoliberal capitalist status quo by quite literally just because of, in my opinion, ego, wanting to be also the guy, not just the guy behind the curtains, because to an extent I'm pretty sure that he wants to both be all of the world's problems but also all of the world's problem solver. That it's destroying that fog of war and then turning a previously highly functioning system for the super wealthy into one that could potentially come into question. Which is
the
like
contradictions are too apparent now.
Too apparent, yeah, and it's turning like somebody from this part of the world, right? Here, that contradiction is constantly apparent, right? You have the super wealthy people, and the super wealthy people don't simply just lobby the government. Very often, they become ministers, they become even presidents. Or when they do become presidents, they utilize their governmental position in order to become a massive capitalist Usually, they get a cousin or two, and then they start buying up everything, etc., etc. Some are less greedy, and they focus on guns, drugs, and oil, etc., etc. Some are hyper greedy, like for example, what's happening over in Serbia with the big protests that maybe some chatters have seen. You have a government that wants to quite literally own every single fucking, and not in a cool communist way, wants to own every single fucking bakery and tire shop, and wants a piece of absolutely every single pie. So even there, it becomes too apparent, and then it breaks down. But for us, the status quo, that just to give our American brothers, sisters, and enemies, our status quo is what is now being built in the United States, from how Gremloe very, very eloquently explained. And because it's not a new thing, I want you guys to understand that it can be developed. Its contradictions will be much louder than previous contradictions, but it can absolutely continue existing as it does in so many other parts of the world. The United States is not so special that the Constitution is going to protect it, or it has a very strong opposition party that will not allow this to happen, blah, blah, blah. If the overtone window is shifted, it's just going to stay there. It's going to stay there. Billionaires literally sitting next to the president, or even being the president, absolutely can become the new accepted status quo.
Yeah. I mean, we've joked on the American left for a while, balkanize the United States, because we're such a large country that's so regionally diverse, both in politics and culture, that balkanize it. Yeah, southeast, whatever, northeast, Midwest, balkanize the United States. But it's now our politics that are becoming more Balkan-like. This shit that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are up to, it's very, very Balkan-esque. It's in how, you described, the pay-fors that politicians will give their own personal friends and family, and appoint their benefactors to positions of power, so as a reward for getting them into the big chair. That's just what we have now. We've always had it to a certain extent, but it's just so brazen now. There's not even an effort to be well, here's someone who's kind of qualified to do this. No, we have the wife of the WWE guy gutting the education. Stupid.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it because the ridiculousness levels of it are gonna become so much bigger and bigger, and especially for someone that's in the career that you're in. Up until now, you needed to do relatively in-depth analysis in order to explain stuff to chat and your followers and etc. etc. It's slowly going to turn more and more into you quite literally just standing there and being this is so fucking obvious. What the this is too fucking obvious. I can't even have a deep take on this because it's just out in the open, right?
I've noticed this recently. It used to be I would dive into it and be okay, well, here's some roots of it. Here's how we can explain this through Marxist analysis. And now I'm just they're stupid.
Yeah. People be I can relate super hard because usually I cover, Western Europe and North America when it comes to the news and specific politics, etc., etc. But a lot of people come into chat and oh, tell us more about, the system over in Russia, the system over in Ukraine, the system in Serbia and Bosnia and Greece and so on. And I'm it will take me, it's kind of a fake. It's complicated because it's complicated to explain just how not complicated it is.
Right.
And that's what's going to become a very big part of your daily routine doing this job when it comes to talking about American politics, as it slowly, as you beautifully put, I'm gonna steal that, as it slowly balkanizes, at least when it comes to the executive branch of the country. It's fucking funny.
I mean, I showed something to my chat earlier whenever we were going over the education department being cut. So the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, commonly known as Michael Penis, he is a congressman from my state. He had a meeting with other Louisiana representatives recently, and the state seal behind him said Education Department of Louisiana. They misspelled their own state in the seal behind them. Just blubbering idiots.
That's so good.
It's so stupid.
It's
No
so
wonder
good.
we have
It's
the 50th ranked education in the country.
It's like there was this this like minister, I think at that time he was like of the military or some shit, so minister of defense in one particular Balkan country, and they find out he's like got like 30 apartments in Canada. And they go to interview him, and he's like, "Oh no, they're my aunts." That's the whole. That was the whole defense. That was the
Classic.
whole fucking plot, and it just ends there. So all the excuses that they use are going to be far more in your face. Or I really respect the American mentality of fucking speed running absolutely everything, where you even have like no excuses given. Like for with Elon, right? Like whenever it comes to anything super fucked up that Doge has done, and not just like ethically fucked up, just like exceptionally impractical, and like you guys literally do not know what you're doing, and it's very apparent. He just goes out. He doesn't give excuses. He's like, yeah, don't you know that
USA.
mistakes? Yeah.
Like
People make mistakes.
his rockets
Make mistakes.
exploding.
Fuck you.
Yeah, like he'll have a rocket explode, and everyone's like, "So that blew up spectacularly," and he's like, "No, it was a rapid, unscheduled disassembly."
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm going to tell my insurance agent when I get in my next fender bender. No, I didn't crash into the Hyundai Sonata in front of me. I rapidly disassembled my fender.
And then immediately, like Fox News guys are gonna literally fucking just take out all the lube and lube up their fucking throats so fucking nice, and just go like 700 fucking Need for Speed type of speed on his knob live on fucking television.
Always.
Right after, like a project fucking fails, they will immediately turn it into, this has been a historic moment. It is incredible how you managed to save this thing that failed. We are so grateful to you. Also, why are people burning down Teslas? Stop burning down Teslas, you domestic terrorists. But not even burning down Teslas. Don't you know that you're a domestic terrorist, even if you key one? And both me and Gremloe will speak in his name. Really disavow keying Tesla-owned cars. It is a very, very bad thing to do, especially when not wearing a mask, because Teslas do have cameras. So be careful. Be careful. I watched a video this morning on TikTok, made my day. And now there you go. I'm going full America pill as well, like protesting through consumption habits. A person taking down their pants and like swiping their asshole on a Tesla car. Like, don't do that. Not because that is very funny and very edgy, but if somebody drives a Tesla, most likely not very hygienic. Therefore, most likely not really maintaining their car properly, so you could get a disease. So, like, don't risk getting a disease in order to make a Tesla driver's day a little bit shittier. Oh,
Nice.
God,
So you went the disease route. I was going to say if it's a Cybertruck, they have sharp edges, and you'll give yourself another crack.
So, dude, how do you even guess if a fucking Cybertruck is burned down? They look the same. Like, it's. Well,
I don't know.
Job, bro.
Like, is it a function? Like, is it a feature? I don't know. They're doing weird shit over at Tesla.
Do you have a lot of them over where you're at? Obviously, don't dox yourself unless you
No, it's fine. We have like one charging station, and they're like Tesla Model Ys driving around, but there's only two Cybertrucks.
Cybertruck specifically.
Yeah,
Have you seen
there's two. There's two in our area, and I see them all the time. And this little old lady drives one of them. She's like an elderly lady. I see her getting out of it at the grocery store, and I'm like, why? Like, you already shouldn't be driving. Now you're driving around like a polygon. Like, why?
We're talking old, like we're talking guilt, not MILF. We're talking old, right?
Yeah, like she would be a babushka.
Holy shit, a babushka in a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Sometimes I love America, I have to admit. Sorry, my chat is not going to kill me. But that is, I want to see that. Oh.
I mean, just literally imagine, like, the old lady who's, sitting at the bus stop in your town. Imagine if she's behind the wheel of a Cybertruck, and that's what you got.
It's amazing. So she's basically driving the bus.
Pretty much.
what having no public transport does to a motherfucker babushka.
Oh my god, dude, we have such dog shit transport. So like one thing about New Orleans is we have if you've ever seen any pictures of the city, you likely see the little old school trolleys like going across the street.
Yes.
We
yes.
have like the rail system set up all throughout the city, but those little cars, there's like 8 of them that sometimes run, and mostly for tourists on the weekends. And the fact that we're not like hopping on that and putting in like above ground modern 2-line rail everywhere is insane to me. Like when the terrorist attack happened in New Orleans on Bourbon Street a couple months ago, and they're like, oh yeah, we removed the bollards on the street to do maintenance on them because they like slide at a 45-degree angle in case like emergency vehicles need to get on the street. But we never thought to put a bollard on the sidewalk so someone couldn't drive onto the sidewalk. It never occurred to them. Like, who is planning this? Why do we have vehicle traffic in the tourist section like at night whenever people are like going there? Why don't we close off traffic? No one thinks about these things. Every problem in America is always like presented with a solution of more of the problem every time. Same with the Department of Education. Education sucks, cut education. Stupid.
I love teachers. Teachers, they're the best, but also I want less of them. Yeah. Do you think there's an actual potential of like America turning? Obviously, now I'm doing a semi-LARP here, but only semi because you never fucking know. For just being a fully homeschooled country. Because if you actually are a relatively smart, extremely privileged, extremely wealthy capitalist, arguably you most likely have class consciousness, and you kind of understand how capitalism works. So you understand that, unless obviously the whole planet burns down, revolution is to an extent inevitable. And the only way, because of contradictions piling up, blah, 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 I'm sure chat knows this, I'm not going to nerd out about it. But so you need to put systems in place that can either postpone it or permanently postpone it. And the talk about permanent postponement of, anti-capitalist fervor because of the contradictions overflowing so much, and then people are like, fuck the system, and they overturn it in one way or another, is a controversial question, because most people would say, that's impossible. But one way that unironically would make it possible is through the full-on just eradication of education as a government-provided system from the face of the earth. So if you're a smart capitalist and you want to make sure that, not even class consciousness, but general knowledge stops spreading as much as it can stop spreading, just make everybody fucking homeschooled, and then you'll just have a continuous cycle of orangutans teaching orangutans how to be orangutans, and we stop being fucking Homo sapiens in general. So I don't know if it's possible. It's to an extent a LARPy question, I know, but you never know, right? Do you think they could roll it back so much? Because when it comes to rhetoric, they really are kind of doing this pitch, like, public education is going to make your kids trans, and it's going to make them hate God and the flag. So, real patriots should make sure to give their children proper patriotic education, etc., etc.
Well, there's two parts.
How far can it go?
There's two, I think, two questions in there. Like, what is the potential for people recognizing their conditions and trying to change them? On that, I think everybody is a leftist, but they just don't have the vocabulary or the not education, but like the instilled sentiment of how to like contextualize their conditions. Like, that's been taken away from them. And this is not unique to America. I think this is most places. And we also don't have a history of these things becoming widespread. We have very rich labor history, emancipatory movements in this country that we just don't teach people about. Haymarket Affair, the Nat Turner Rebellion, Stonewall, all these great pieces of history we just don't teach. If people learn about them, I think there's more potential for revolution.
One of the greatest and most developed communist movements literally on the planet was pre-World War II America. Like you guys unironically had some of the best educated, smartest, most forward thinking
Eugene Debs.
I mean, it's all time, like ever. So there is a vast fucking history and culture of Marxism in the country, but we all know what happened to that, etc., etc. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Reagan.
Glaze, real American patriots, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think like part of the history is the reason why they can't like bring it to something tangible, but I don't know if anyone can make the argument that like it inevitably will happen. This is where I kind of disagree with Marx, that like revolution is inevitable. I think backlash is inevitable. What that manifests as, I think, depends, because in America, the hogs are very activated right now because they're not going to get their Social Security checks. And you take that away from a hog that sits on the recliner and watches Fox News all day, he'll get real mad. Americans lose their minds if their cable box doesn't turn on, like, and have everything functioning perfectly. Like, I used to work tech support, and I'd get old hogs calling in all the time that are in these super impoverished areas. They're still on like unshielded coax lines, and if a truck with a CB radio drove by their house, then like the Fox News channel would go out and they'd call in thinking that the Clintons were trying to take down Trump. Real story. But like how they can be directed towards, you know, action all depends on, you know, whether or not the people in their community can get them to, you know, focus on the right thing, paint the right target. But the question of what is the purpose is of like, or can it all be privatized? I can't tell you if that's going to happen, but I can tell you what the intent is. The intent is not to simply privatize all education. The intent is to make it class-based education. They want to go back to a time when only like wealthy landowners and, you know, the petit bourgeois and the bourgeois could have access to education, because there are already Republicans that are floating the idea of, through eroding child labor protections, offering children GED or high school diploma equivalent certifications. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be class segregation of schools, where if you're poor, you can't afford sending your kid to school, put them in the fucking fry-a-later, you know, make them put the fries in the bag, and that's how they're going to earn their education, through like labor over a certain period of time. And that's it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, very good take. I really agree. Which is extra unhinged, because to an extent it's already like this, but they want to like take it to another step and another step and another step and another step, where just your chances of ironically lifting yourself up by your bootstraps are now they're 1% to go to literally 0.0000001.
Yeah, we don't have shoelaces right now. They don't want people to have shoes.
Shoes at all, yeah. And eventually they'll start cutting off feet as well.
Yeah, because I mean, this is like the excuse to rationalize like people's own conditions or the conditions of other people. Well, they didn't work hard enough. They didn't study in school. You know, they should just ask for a raise. Whatever the petty excuses people give, it's centered entirely on the individual and not any kind of systemic, you know, structures that are in people's way. Whether it's racist hiring practices, whether it's gender discrimination, pay gap, or simply like criminal record. Like if you've got like a charge on your record, that can, you know, prevent you from getting like rental units, getting a mortgage, getting a loan for starting a business, whatever it is, hiring practices. All of this is whittled down to, well, you must be an inherently bad person, which is why I see the growth in the merit-based policy becoming super prominent amongst the Republican Party. It's always been prominent, but that like every policy, every executive order is, we're doing merit-based now, everything's based on merit. It's like, well, bitch, what the fuck merit do you got? What is Elon Musk or Pete Hegseth or any of the people in the Republican Party ever like done through merit? Even I mean, fuck, Donald Trump, like, filed for Chapter 11 on, like, you know, 9 different companies. You bankrupted a casino. How? The House always wins for a reason. I don't, like, a lot of it does have to do with, like, the psychology and instilling that idea that you are responsible for what happens to you. And the only people who recognize that that is a lie are the people who are at the business end of that, that club that we beat people over the head with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that ties really well back to the previous conversation about prison labor, because I genuinely think now we got to the crux of the answer of the wider question in a place where the idea of where you're at is almost completely merit based. Prisoners, and even prisoners whose labor is being exploited, the perspective is, well, it's your fault that you ended up in a labor camp, in a prison that utilizes, you know what the fuck I mean.
Yeah.
So we don't boycott the brands that utilize it. We don't boycott the prisons that utilize it. We don't want to change legislation and laws that are going to protect you, because why the fuck should I protect you? It's 100% your fault that you ended up in a prison. So sit there and fucking work, bitch. That type of idea that always comes out of a hyper merit focused concept. But you know what else comes from a hyper merit focused concept? Ideologies that then start talking about the hyper focus on hierarchy, and then they start talking about hierarchy between genders, hierarchy between ethnicities, hierarchy between cultures, hierarchy between different religious beliefs, etc., etc. And then all of a sudden, and almost always, the ones that deserve to be at the top of the hierarchy are the ones that I am, and not the other guys, because they're this or that type of success. So the pipeline from the meritocracy conversation into quite literal, like ethnic-based fascist thinking is 1-to-1. Like that's the inevitable kind of conclusion of that sort of idea, because if you manage to make the majority of the population basically swallow the merit equals success pill, and you run with it for a decade or 2 decades or 2 years, I don't know how long it takes depending on the country, but things are not improving for a very big part of the population, people start asking questions. Why the fuck isn't it improving for like 5% of the population, or 30% of the population, or 40% of the population? And then how do you answer that contradiction? Obviously, you can answer that contradiction through, class consciousness, etc., etc., but why are reactionaries reactionaries? Because, we look at everything, we just don't look at that. So how do you answer why in a very, very merit-based country, there's so many that are not being able to succeed? You start going like, the fucking skull is shaped in a particular way.
Yeah, there's something wrong with their culture.
Or exactly.
Yeah.
Like the current pitch, it's really, it's disgusting for me to call reactionary smart, but like when it comes to the PR, it objectively is, with the whole Project 2025 thing, etc. Fucking basically now is in everything. I'm sorry, fucking that Zin I took is fucking murdering me. I'm fucking.
Do you 6 or 3 milligram?
What?
Do you do 6 or 3 milligram?
Jesus Christ. You guys are so soft. I love you so fucking much. The weakest one here is 6.
Oh, okay.
I do a 12.
Damn.
I have friends that do a 30, a 40.
What?
I'm like, a toxic masculinity applied to how much nicotine you take is like, bro, you're such a little fucking sissy boy. If you take a 6.
Dude, we really are soft in America.
I'm not trying to be toxic. I'm genuinely.
No, we're soft as fuck.
I chat so many times. I went to New Jersey. My family, my girlfriend's family has like an uncle that's there. He invited us because his daughter got into a really cool college, to celebrate. It was lovely. I spent like 10 days there. And there I was like, okay, I was just, taking Zins. And I was like, why the fuck am I not getting, the fucking hit? I'm like just buying Zins and I'm not getting the fucking hit. And never before did I look at how many actual milligrams are in a single pouch. But I'm like, okay, maybe just Zins are different to Velos and Aces and all the other brands that exist in Europe. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. I literally, while in the States, I took 2 or 3. I would shove them in my fucking cheek in order to feel something. I'm like, please, God, give me something. And then I fly back, and immediately we have to go to the seaside for a friend's birthday. And I go there and I realize I didn't buy any fucking Zins, and we're drinking, when I drink especially I need to do nicotine consumption. And I'm like, I fucking need something, give me something. And there was one guy that wasn't drinking that could drive, and he drives me. This is like, I'm talking like a very small, like touristy town, right at the seaside. So he needs to drive me for like 10 minutes to the only 24-hour shop. And in here, most shops, doesn't matter what they sell, they also sell booze and they sell nicotine products, right? So he puts me in, very nice guy. I go there, and I just came back from the States, right? So I'm walking into the store, and I'm like, okay, well, do you guys have nicotine pouches, right? Even here, people call them Zins, which is very interesting. But Zins do not exist, for example, in the country where I'm like, do you guys have Zins? And he's like, yeah, of course. And he points behind him, and there's like 50. But not that particular brand I was consuming before. And now, because I was in the States and I was wondering, why the fuck am I not getting high? It was the first time I checked the back, and I was like, oh, this is 3 milligrams, this is 6 milligrams. You go make sure you buy the 6 milligram one. So I'm there and I'm like, okay, the 6 milligram one is the strongest one. And I literally, like, very cocky, I tell the guy, can I get something strong, like a 6 milligram? And this, metalhead literally reading a book when I walk in, like fucking, 17-year-old working at a counter, like a store, and has like 3 Zin packs in front of him. He looks up and he's like, strong, 6 milligrams? We have only like one 6 milligram one, and it's the weakest one. Like, I don't even know if you can, like, if they're dried out inside. Nobody bought these.
Oh,
like,
God.
Okay. I'm like, well, okay, what are the other strengths? He's like, 12, 16, 25, 35, 45. We got this 100 one, and the 100 one is literally just like a red skull on a white. It's like, you want to die. If you have not seen a Zin pouch, there's literally black. Like, they're literally like screaming at you, like, do not consume this, you will die. There's ones called Cuba. There are 150. I don't know how you don't die from this. And they're like, the Zin is black. The Zin is actually black. So yeah, I was embarrassed by a 17-year-old in front of my friend. I took the 12 one, like the nicotine cuckold that I am, and I enjoyed it for the rest of the day. And obviously told everybody the story about how, oh my God, guys, like, we are so much more powerful than the Americans. Their strongest one is a 6, and our weakest one is a 6 type shit. But whatever.
I think I found the one you're talking about. Did it say ice cool on it?
No. Wait, let me see. Cuba. In black. It says, I mean, there's different tastes for it. There's double fresh, there's apple juice, there's all sorts. But let me see. There's Cuba Strong.
Okay, this one has a ninja on it for strawberry.
Banana Hit.
Huh.
So I'm not sure if the packaging is, the packaging might be red.
Okay.
For the ones, but the actual pouches.
Yeah, because it's got so much in it.
And it's to make you look like the cool guy at the bar.
Yeah, of course.
And they're like black, Just... And the only guy I've ever seen take them is, shout out to Getza, a chill dude from the country that I live in, and just to make you understand what types of people take black Zins. Like, this is the type of man that has been abusing substances so much that he doesn't like drink ethanol, because he literally found like a drug that makes him feel like he's drunk without making him feel heavy the way that alcohol makes him feel heavy. Like,
my God, the Balkans really are the Louisiana of that continent. Oh my God. We do the same shit.
Absolutely. Do you guys, I mean, I think it's all over the world. The fucking paint thinner thing?
Oh, yeah.
I never understood the paint thinner thing. Why? Just have a vodka, blad. Like, sure, like, what? Why? Just literally just have a beer. Why are you doing paint thinner? Bruv, I don't know.
I mean, it makes your brain vibrate. That's why.
Yeah, but all of them that took it tell me that it makes you basically feel drunk, so... Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Couldn't tell you. I've never partaken.
I like you, motherfucker.
No.
Oh, but yeah.
I forgot what we were
how's
fucking talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, does it fucking matter? It doesn't matter. What's the drinking culture in Louisiana?
Shit.
By the way, but I'll just interrupt you. I realized, thanks to my chat, I didn't even know that it's my partner anniversary.
Oh shit.
Twitch, yeah. So I'm doing. I'll make up for the ones that gifted. Thank you very much, etc., etc. I'm doing a 1-to-1. I'm gonna bankrupt myself. For every 10 gift subs, I give 10 gift subs, right? So if you want to bankrupt me, for every 10 gift subs, it doesn't have to be from one person when they pile up. But whenever we hit 10 gift subs, I do another 10. So for example, if anybody does like 50 gift subs, I would have to spend money for 50 gift subs.
Yo, Sean, thank you for the raid, dude.
The fucking the thing, and that's also why I'm drinking. Not
that exchange rate's gonna fuck you up.
What?
That exchange rate's gonna fuck you.
You won't be surprised. Twitch is. I will die on this hill. Since I moved here from YouTube, which is literally the most bottom tier fucking platform to ever exist for content creation.
Yeah.
It's been lovely. Twitch has genuinely been lovely. The speed at which I got partnered, the speed at which they gave like a high percentage from the revenue I generate. Unfortunately, now ads make no money, so I literally have no ads. The most importantly, the way they treat different subscribers from different parts of the world. Like if you're from a developing country, a subscription costs a lot less than it does when you're from the States or from England or whatever.
Okay.
Thank you, Sean the Black, for the raid. Thank you very much. I hope you had a great stream. Welcome.
Let me ask you this. So you've been streaming for how long on Twitch?
A year, on and off a year. Yeah.
How long did it take you to qualify for partner before they gave you your partner badge?
I never did. I mean, this is kind of fucked up. But when you have a large platform somewhere else, you hit them up and you tell them, yo, like I'm bringing people here. What the fuck? So they immediately gave me affiliate. And then in like 2-3 weeks, because of a decent viewership, etc., they were like, I texted them actually. I was like, you see the trend where this is going? I'm definitely gonna hit partner eventually. So like, give it to me faster, and they gave it.
Well, damn. See, I was streaming for like almost a year and a half because I didn't have any platform. I didn't have any audience. I started from nothing.
It's so much more impressive. You fucking raw dogged it hard.
I mean, I've just been very lucky. So when I qualified for partner, it took a year and a half.
Smart piece of shit. I don't like.
No,
Sorry,
look, I follow this principle. This is my only superstitious personality trait, that if you acknowledge success to a degree where it teeters on bragging or flexing, you will almost immediately lose it. So I always, say this is luck.
This is healthy. I agree.
But it took me like a year and a half before they gave me partner because they kept responding saying my content is too reactionary.
What?
Yeah.
But they meant like you were reacting to stuff?
Yeah, they were saying like you need to make more original content. But yeah, a bunch of lefty streamers got that whenever they were qualifying for partner.
Words mean nothing, as some chatters
I know.
Saying. I fully utilized the fact that fuck my YouTube channel, which like 250 260k. I literally have only ever posted like 40 videos, which to some people might sound like a lot, but like literally Google your favorite YouTuber that has the same subscription count. They most likely have at least 3 times as many videos posted. Mm-hmm. So never take it too seriously. What I do take very seriously is the deprogram that I do with the boys, and our first thought was started, and many other projects that hopefully come to fruition. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because I utilize the fact that those platforms were kind of visible. Let's use it to negotiate with Twitch. Somebody told me to do that. I unironically can't remember who told me to do that. And I already am really struggling on being a 1K Andy, but one day this great success shall be achieved. And again, the reason I'm talking about this is just give you insane fucking props, because streaming specifically, in my opinion, is the only way realistically for you to break into it is if you build up a certain. Twitch is like OnlyFans, right? You need a sort of presence somewhere else and then to move them.
That's
but
true.
You raw dogged it and you're so fucking impressive. Seriously,
I mean, my struggle's been with my YouTube. Like, I have a awesome editor, Oni Spumoni. He's in the chat. He gets 2 videos out on the channel a week, and he does an excellent job. And it has been
start YouTube before the streaming, right? Or I might be wrong.
No. Well, funny enough, I for a long time I've wanted to get into content creation. I tried the gaming stuff a while back. Tried making my own like political content, but I never like posted any of it because it wasn't to like a standard that I thought was worth posting. So started the YouTube channel with just I would cut out sections of the VOD and I would post those on the YouTube channel, and eventually got to the point where I wanted to like hire on an editor, Oni, and we've been doing that for like a year and a half. Oni, I think, is how long we've been doing it, and yeah, like getting that growth is not easy. Like it's always the drama farming stuff that peaks the most. Like I'll get 3,000-4,000 views on like Ethan Klein said what kind of video, and then the rest of it will be coverage from the actual stream, and those will perform okay for the size of the channel, but won't bring in thousands of subscribers. Leftist content's not easy.
It's not. Oh my God, it's not. Arguably, I don't know, not to toot our own horn, but it's the hardest. I can't imagine a type of content unless it's something really, really niche, like I review toasters. Look at this toaster from Smeg from 1988. If it's not that, if you're doing class conscious analysis of both theory and philosophy and the recent events, etc., it's borderline. There's no way to make a living from it unless you are lucky enough to kind of properly monetize it. And when you do properly monetize it, it continuously just like feeds back into the machine so that you can keep this thing afloat.
Yeah, I mean, right-wing content, they're all collaborating. They're all like, because they have like financial backers and they have the ability to like build out sets, even if it's for like a 2-3 episode series that they do. They have that backing to see like how these things perform. I don't know if you came across it, but there was a kind of heat map of YouTube political content or like online political content that showed like who takes up the most oxygen, and it's predominantly right wing. Like one of the biggest quote unquote left wing the spaces in it was Trevor Noah, who like, even among content creators who do politics, he's like, where is he? I've not seen anything from Trevor Noah in like months. I haven't seen anything. Then there's like TYT, Majority Report, Pod Johns, Hassan, and like Jon Stewart. And like, that's it.
Absolutely. I made a whole video back in the day on the history of, I focused on PragerU and I focused on the Daily Wire. Specifically how they function and most importantly where they got their original funding from, and it's just like they operate on a completely different fucking level. Like we're talking about a completely different universe. Daily Wire, the last reported revenue stream, I believe it was from 2022. It's probably like triple that now. Revenue was $100 million.
Jesus, that's all from ad reads too.
Yeah. And let's compare that to some somebody sizable that can be compared to the Daily Wire, like Hassan. And Hassan, God bless, and absolutely deserves every single cent he makes. And he makes a very decent amount of money. But we're probably talking, what, like 3-4 mil a year? Compare that to 100, or maybe even like at this point, like 200-300 mil that they obviously not only make from. Sure, they make a big piece of it from ad reads, et cetera, but also from just donors that obviously they do not report as revenue. There's probably like a shit ton of fucking tax evasion going on there. I don't even wanna think about it. But also a lot of money when you're talking about such a revenue stream, you reinvest it into more projects and more projects and more projects and more projects, and it becomes a massive fucking octopus. The only thing, like if you want to make class conscious politics, you're quite literally agitating it almost against every single platform that you find yourself on. There's nobody that is going to come and actually give you money. Quite to the contrary, the platforms will try to actively sabotage you because they don't want this type of non-ad friendly shit on it. So it literally, like, it comes back down to people like the lovely subscribers that support both you and me and everybody else, patrons, etc., etc. And even with that, and even with people with very large platforms, when it becomes, very sizable, it is like fucking peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
It is fucking peanuts compared to the likes of Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, etc., etc. Like, those people, like, they're corporations. Like, that's like insane money. We're talking. I can buy a mansion every month.
Because like Dave Rubin was getting checks from Russia, and I'm like, Dave Rubin is a joke amongst the right, and he's still getting massive paychecks.
Yeah, absolutely.
This actually brings me to something I was talking with my chat, and however much time you have, like, don't make me keep you up. I have this theory. I kind of, like, to myself call it my theory of online agitprop. When I was in college, I was writing my final thesis on online political radicalization, and
that's really nice. Mm-hmm.
This was like during like the peak IDW, like Sam Harris, early Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, that era. So the landscape is different now, but I was
kind of didn't even exist basically back then.
Yeah, I mean it was still pretty fresh. I was kind of going back and forth with my chat yesterday about this, because my theory is that right-wing propaganda online, it may grow in its follower count, but it's not growing in that it is convincing people. It's not like radicalizing someone in the way we would think of radicalizing. It is seizing on the algorithm's ability to detect things that you are amenable to. It's that it's, you're watching like a motivational speeches set to Hans Zimmer scores in your car in front of the office while you're like white knuckling going into your job, and then it feeds you, a Dave Goggins, motivational speech. Then it connects you to Joe Rogan, and then it goes from there to, Jordan Peterson and all these people. You are already, because you grow up in a white supremacist, myth of meritocracy, American exceptionalist media environment, that all of these things are instilled in you from birth. It's just latching on to those things, and especially if you are white, if you are a man, if you are straight, will capitalize on those things and just give you vocabulary. It's not justifying anything. It's not explaining anything that is like rooted in like material reality or actual like, peer-reviewed data, whatever it is. It's just latching onto those things and giving you dialogue options whenever you're talking to people. Like, I don't think it's not like radicalizing people the way that like, your content with, anything you do independently or with the Deprogram Boys. What you and I do is contextualize. What the right-wing propaganda does is it reaffirms, reinforces, and then gives you talking points. I don't think that the hype around right-wing propaganda and its reach is quite the way that it's being talked about in media. I think it's more of just giving people soothing answers and just things that they can repeat to piss off their cousin at Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. And it touches, how do you even put this? Don't be scared of a creator, no matter how large their platform is, that is literally coming out and basically Sieg Heiling and waving the fucking Nazi flag. Because those, while they might attempt to radicalize, etc., are de facto niche. The most dangerous ones, and I completely agree with what you're saying, are the ones, dude, right-wing content creation, right-wing propaganda, etc., is not looking to accelerate anything. It's not looking to turn you into something that you're already not. It's looking to confirm already present biases in order to contain the status quo to continue for as long as possible.
Right.
That's a very big difference to, as you put very eloquently, that's a very big difference to what leftist agitators are trying to do. They're trying to present you an idea of a better world that can make this one, completely fade in comparison. Well, right-wingers, the smart ones, the ones that actually believe in the cause, in my opinion, and also, make a lot of money from the grind, hyper-focus on just keeping the status quo as possible. So the game, what I'm saying and agreeing with you is the game is completely different. We are trying to make you understand that change is necessary. They are not trying to pitch you most of them, the smart ones, are not trying to pitch you a more radical version of what is the status quo now. The only thing they're pitching continuously is for the status quo to remain the way it is. Right. So, as you said, giving me talking points, reaffirming my biases, etc., etc. That's the grind for them. Grind for them is to think that everything is okay, and more importantly, first you convince them that everything is okay, and number two, you convince them that they have to violently and even physically fight against those who tell them it's not okay, because if they come, the communists, etc., anarchists and so on, they will ruin the small vestiges of normality that you have left.
I like what someone in chat said just now, that kind of reaffirms what we were saying. It's not radicalization if the propaganda just exists to reaffirm your starting position. But this begs the question of, a radical position is just one. It's an apolitical descriptor. It's just one where you want change. You want big changes in whatever structure it is. Whether it's to maintain old structures, but to just cement them further, whether it's regressing back to 1950s Jim Crow era, whatever it is, czarist or feudalist, it doesn't matter. Can we accurately describe these as radicalization? Because I went to school for sociology, I look at political radicalization as a response to material conditions, kind of like a child in Gaza is radicalized.
I will have to interrupt you. I'm doing the Zizek thing. I will have to interrupt you because is it radicalization? Because you're looking at the material conditions. But if the material conditions are declining and you are motivating people to not want to see change, therefore you are radicalizing them because the material conditions are changing. You want them to not do absolutely anything about them. So that is de facto radical because you're convincing them to basically not be using their eyes and their hands and experiencing the world around them.
Right.
I think you know what I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's the difference
right?
between radicalizing and indoctrinating. Like the propaganda of a state like America is indoctrinating someone into pre-established biases that have already been laid in place by these institutions. But a radicalizing, agitprop is going to turn you against that. It's turning the frustrations inwards versus turning the frustrations outward.
Yeah.
Radical empathy in the face of problems. Yeah.
You're convincing them that the problem isn't actually the problem, but the problem is poor people. Yeah, et cetera, reactionary attitudes and so on. But the point is that, those reactionary attitudes are preserving the current status quo, or in more radical key historic moments, it's encouraging a switch to even further regression in order to ironically preserve the promise of the status quo, etc., etc. But it is indoctrination versus radicalization. That's very it is a good context to be given. But it's just to continue. It's why is it considered both indoctrination and radicalization to convince people that the current status quo is not okay, but it is not radical or indoctrinating to continue openly supporting a system that is very openly degrading. It's like the difference of one guy is basically giving you a pitch you need to climb over a fence, and the other guy is giving you a pitch that while you're sitting in live mud and sinking, that it's absolutely chill and you should not attempt to get out of it. Both we either consider both the same thing, or we see the very significant difference between the two.
Well, I mean, one is a threat to pre-established institutions and social hierarchies, but I think it also has to do with something that I've talked about a lot, that the power of like controlling what we perceive words to mean, right? If you can control a group of people to think that a word like, this is a flower, but I'm going to call it a gizmo. If I can convince someone that it is not a flower, that it is a gizmo, and that is it. That's just how language works, but it's intent to convince someone. Why would we call it not that? Well, because we have associations with it. They have we called it that originally to fit a certain social need, like radicalization or a radical. If we convince people that radical, yes, if we convince them that it means that it's a threat to them, that it's a threat to, everything we hold dear, then we'll push back against it at every opportunity. We don't even have to be told why it's radical.
Absolutely. And again, to mention Gigi for a second time, even though now in his old age he's getting cringier and cringier, the great parallel that can be made there is why is it non-violent to support a status quo that is causing the deaths of tens of thousands every single day, but it is considered violent to potentially hurt someone in the process of trying to destroy the current system, which is quite directly and quite materially causing so much harm. The context is always shifting, and if there's anything, I guess, from today's stream that the audience maybe needs to kind of remember, is that very, very specific fact that a lot of the stuff that you've been raised on with the idea that this means this, in a different context, it quite literally means something very literally mean something very, very different. And I think both you and me, Graham, we are very open when it comes to our positions, etc. But it is exactly people that do political analysis, news coverage, and so on that kind of get out of their way to make sure they tell you that they do not hold bias and they're not trying to convince you about things that are arguably most dangerous and most radical, and with the most ill intent that from where they're coming from when it comes to just how much they want to change your particular opinion on a particular thing. Yeah,
it's like that conversation Hassan had with Piers Morgan, where Piers is like, you called me a propagandist. Piers was saying, it's like, well, I'm a propagandist too. Like, I'm not afraid of that label. Like, it goes back to, the words having dominion over people. Well, propagandist, whoa, that's scary. They're trying to brainwash you. It's like, no, it's just disseminating information. That's all it is. Just one information is to lull you into apathy, and one is to try and activate you into action. I mean, whatever the outcome is, both of them have a strategy. But yeah, I'm glad that you agreed on it, because yesterday I was having trouble kind of articulating what I was trying to get across. So glad that someone else agrees with my theory.
Oh no, of course. Chat is dumb, and the streamer is always a smart one, and you guys don't know anything that you're talking about.
I steal too many takes from chat to say that they're dumb. Most of my Twitter posts are me stealing from my chat.
No, dude, you gotta create a relatively toxic relationship to them, because I recognized, especially on the Twitch grind, whenever you give too many compliments to chat, they literally just start spamming, no, not me, I'm actually dumb, I'm very fucking stupid. But if you call them stupid, their only reaction is, ha ha ha, yes, me, I am dumb. There's never a violent reaction against calling them dumb, but there is a violent reaction against calling them smart. Being like, oh my god, chatter, you should be the one streaming and not me. Immediately, at least in my chat, gets like very toxic. Like, oh, shut the fuck up. Da, 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 da. But when you call them fucking idiots, they're all like, yes, we're little dumb boys. You know, it's very wholesome. I respect the modesty.
I see what you're doing. You're trying to keep them from starting their own streams, thinking they could do it. I see what you do. You're trying to corner the market.
No, I'm literally telling them do it. By the way, if anybody's here and has not clicked follow on Gremloe stream from my community, may you have diarrhea for at least 2 months.
Damn.
I think that's TOS. Okay, that's TOS. Okay.
Holy
Come on, give me the same type of pitch about following me. Come on, motherfucker. Come on.
Hell yeah, this was awesome. I do have to go run some errands, but this was great. I'm glad that we could link up and do this.
Absolutely, and I genuinely think that with different leftist creators, especially on Twitch, we should like basically turn it into a rotation principle. You know, I'm not just talking between the two of us, which I genuinely would really like to do. We can do it once a month, once every 2 months. Why the fuck not? Tell me if I'm wrong. But also not just between the two of us, would like just jumping around shows, I think would be very healthy for all individual channels and for the community. And you get a nice little mesh between people, and they end up learning more.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, they're constantly like gassing each other up. They're promoting each other, and they're building a network. I mean, we should do that too.
Deal.
Later.
Bye.
That was great. Chat. Yeah, definitely go follow Yugo. Definitely go follow. You guys already know him, so cool to make that connection.